Is Ken Griffey Jr. the greatest of all time?
And what's up, everybody? It's the Ken Griffey Jr. episode. What's up, CT?
Hey man, how's it going? Happy Father's Day,
Thanks,
which
man.
was yesterday, and we'll be dropping this episode tomorrow. But happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, specifically to Alex Rodriguez, who has three daughters.
Speaking of Alex Rodriguez, he's getting closer to buying the Mets. Luis, how do you feel about this?
I feel great, man. I feel like it's another step in his legacy that is necessary, man. Like he's meant to be in the business of baseball, so
This is a video for another day, but do you think there's a slight obsession with Derek Jeter on behalf of Alex Rodriguez? Because in 2001, before he signed a deal with the Texas Rangers, there was a deal in place with the New York Mets. He would have, and a lot of the reports were that he wanted to be like the arch nemesis to Derek Jeter, like the other face, crosstown rivals to the Golden Boy in New York. And now, if he buys the Mets, he'll be divisional rivals with Derek Jeter here. Is there coincidence to that, or what do you think?
I think that he doesn't revolve his decisions around Derek Jeter, but I do think that it's a coincidence. But I think that's just a baseball thing. Like it could have been anybody. It could have been Vladimir Guerrero owning a team like the Phillies, and that could have been enough. Jeter could very well be the reason, but it's not because he's like obsessed with Jeter.
And there was that whole story. They were BFFs, and then A-Rod said that thing, and I think it was SI where he said that Jeter's just a number two hitter, but the lineup revolves around him and stuff, and that caused all this beef between two of them. I don't know, man. I'm not sure.
Me neither. I'm
What do you guys think? Why don't you leave us a comment? Do you think A-Rod is
Is
obsessed with Derek
obsessed.
Jeter, as our friend here Luis is? No offense, but anyway,
No denying that, my friend. No
we
denying that.
today we're talking about A-Rod's former teammate with the Seattle Mariners, Ken Griffey Jr., aka the greatest of all time, or not, depending on how you see it.
The kid.
Um, on Sunday, MLB Network released a documentary, which they don't publicize this stuff very well. Like on ESPN, you knew Long Gone Summer was coming out like 2 months in advance.
Seriously.
I literally found out about it this past week and forgot. I completely forgot about it. I saw somebody talking about it on Twitter and I was like, shit. So I ended up recording it and watched it this morning. And I seriously wish that this is what Long Gone Summer had been. This documentary was, to me, there was some flaws, but it was close to perfect. It was like fun to watch the stories, and there was a lot of things that were revealed that we didn't know about before, and yeah, it was great. Ken Griffey's
You
the
know,
man.
the documentary was almost perfect. I almost I got emotional a couple times during the documentary when him and his dad went back to back
That's
was the
awesome, yeah.
time where I was like kind of like, damn man, like you can only dream, and even in that dream you can only like it's not, you might never ever see it again. um or like him going through his injuries and stuff, like it really made me feel connected to that era, that decade, his legacy, his Hall of Fame speech. Like it was a really great documentary. So far I put it over The Last Dance, Roy
Really?
Halladay's Yeah, because like I don't know, The Last Dance kind of dragged on a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but
Okay.
so far way better than Long Gone Summer.
Oh, way
Like
better.
it captured Ken Griffey Jr. Long Gone Summer, I didn't feel the same connection.
No. And if nothing, that story should have captured our attention way more than the Griffey story. But
Yeah.
so there was a few things. There were six things particularly that stood out to me. The first thing was that Ken Griffey Jr. was selected by the Seattle Mariners in the 1987 draft with the first pick. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but at the time, I don't know when this changed, but at the time, the AL and the NL used to alternate first pick. So the odd years were AL years, the NL were even years. The Pirates finished the 1986 season with a 64 and 98 record. The Mariners finished with a 67 and 95 record. So technically, the Pirates had a worse record than the Mariners, but because the draft took place in an odd year, the American League team got the first pick. So I was gonna say Derek Jeter. Ken Griffey Jr. ended up going to the Seattle Mariners instead of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Had he gone to the Pirates, he would have been teammates with none other than Barry Bonds.
Dun, dun, dun.
Would that have been the greatest outfield of all time?
Isn't yeah, first of all, probably the greatest teammates.
Yeah.
Isn't Barry Bonds, who is Willie Mays the godfather of? Is that Barry Bonds?
Barry Bonds.
And then how is Griffey, and somehow because Griffey Sr. and Bobby Bonds playing in the same time, I think they were friends like growing up. I think they've always been involved in each other's like lives because Griffey was one of the people speaking up in defense of Barry Bonds when Barry Bonds was getting accused of all this stuff. So
let's see. I'm trying to see if maybe they played with the Yankees together. Bobby Bonds played with the Yankees in 1975. Ken Griffey Sr.
1981, 1982, 1982, 83, 84, 85,
so
86.
They didn't cross paths there. I don't think they were teammates at any point. I don't know. I don't think Ken Griffey Jr. has any relations to any of the all-time greats aside from Ken Griffey Sr., who's not a Hall of Famer, but he's a great player. Something's in my eye. Perfect timing. But shit, he made a name for himself, just like Barry Bonds did. But the only thing is that Ken Griffey did it clean, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't been implicated on anything. Yeah. But I'm just trying to picture, and the Pirates were better than the Mariners in the earlier years. The Mariners didn't make it to the postseason until '95. The Pirates had made it to several postseasons, almost won 100 games at one point. I wonder if they could have pulled through a World Series in the early '90s with that back-to-back, dude, that 3-4 hitter combo. Oh my God, that's like Ortiz, Manny Ortiz. That's like Sheffield, A-Rod. That's like the Eminem brothers with McGuire, Maris. Something we could probably explore a little bit further down the line. Wink, wink. We probably will. The next thing I wanted to touch on is the parallels between Griffey and LeBron James. And you actually made a good point before we started recording that maybe we should really compare Griffey to Michael Jordan. I think that is a better comparison. The reason why I thought LeBron James was a good comparison is because he was featured in the documentary a lot for some reason. I wonder if he was a producer on it or something, because I don't see what other reason he would be on there.
Yeah.
Because he's not from Seattle. He's about my age, LeBron. So maybe it's because we grew up with Ken Griffey.
Maybe the whole Cincinnati thing.
Maybe
Ohio?
That's what it is. Cleveland. Yeah, that's true. Cleveland, Ohio, Akron, Ohio, and Cincinnati, Ohio. Good point. But both entered their respective sports as teenagers. LeBron James and Ken Griffey Jr. They were both the best players in their sport, arguably, and they both played on bad teams. LeBron with the Cavs, Griffey with the Mariners, and the father-son duo dynamic. LeBron doesn't know his father, but he hopes to one day play with his son at some point. So maybe, that's what it was about. But what do you think about the parallels between LeBron and Jordan? What were those parallels?
You mean Griffey and Jordan?
Sorry, Griffey and Jordan.
I just think that it's funny how both of their careers flourished in the 90s. Jordan had the championships, which is like, I feel like that's the only difference, because Griffey performed at a high level for almost his entire career with Seattle, and he had video game deals, commercials, sneakers, cereal box covers, like everything that Jordan was doing. Not that Jordan was the first guy to have a sneaker deal, but I feel like he was the first one to make it globally popular, and like pretty much took the Nike brand like to a whole new level that everybody has just followed his footsteps in since. Griffey, I think that's the only baseball player. Him and Jeter kind of had their own. I know Jeter had his own sneaker at one point, because I remember.
Yeah, but nothing like
growing up.
Griffey's sneakers were the shit. I forgot about them, and I started after that doc. I looked them up, and I was like, oh my God, these would still be fire today if somebody.
And even though LeBron has his own sneaker deal and they're insane in their own right, and LeBron has his own marketing deals and everything, I feel like everything just falls after Jordan. It's like until Jordan did it, it really wasn't a thing. So since Griffey was kind of that for baseball and making appearances like in TV shows and movies and all that stuff, like I just feel like that popularity, that being the face of the sport was more of like a Griffey Jordan thing, and it's just funny how it happened around the same time, like the
And
'90s, man. Gotta
and
love it.
the Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball video game is arguably one of the best baseball games of all time.
Yeah.
I remember that being a game changer. Like you
Hmm.
look back on it now, and it's nothing fancy, but the graphics were pretty cool. There was another game, another Griffey game, I believe, on Super NES after they moved to Safeco Field. So it was in the late '90s, and those graphics were really good. I remember those being like game changing in the video game world.
Hmm.
But a lot of people say that the N64 version of that game, which I don't think I never owned the N64, so I'm not sure. They say that that's the best video game of all time. I'm not sure why I never played it, but
I've never played. I did play an N64 baseball game called Triple Play Baseball, Triple Play 2000 with Sammy Sosa on the cover. It was pretty cool, but so far, I mean, MVP Baseball 2005 to me is like the best baseball game.
that
But
was a good
I've
one.
never played that Griffey game.
Yeah.
Either.
That's because you suck. Anyway, the best father-son duo of all time are Griffey Sr. and Griffey Jr. the best father-son duo of all time.
I think currently, man, I don't know, cause you know, I don't know if I should bring this up later at another point, but there was an interesting line in that documentary, like where Griffey he was still with the Mariners and he ran into the outfield and injured his wrist and
Yeah.
missed like the rest of the season or whatever it was. And he basically didn't go through his spring training routine like today. Like Giancarlo Stanton and Judge will have to go through like an enormous amount of training at a
Yeah.
lower level before they can get to the majors. And then he just came back and started raking. So like that comment by his former teammate saying like the guy just played at a different level than everybody else. Like he played at a different level. Period. Like you can't explain it, you can't train it. So that's the same mentality that I have towards guys like Bonds and A-Rod. That even though they took steroids, they're just at a different level. Like that's how I view them. So the fact that Bobby Bonds was a pretty good baseball player, and then I think Barry Bonds has a better like he is better, like the best of all time, then it's kind of hard to choose
I think the
Griffey and the Griffeys over the Bondses.
I think the fact that they played on the same team in the same lineup, same outfield
Yeah.
is crazy, and that they had the opportunity to go back to back in a game. It made me I wanted to ask you because I know that it's not on the same level, but you and your so in our family, our my uncles, your dad, play softball on Saturdays. They play in the league since I was a kid. This thing has to have been going on for about 25 or 30 years at least to this point. And you've had an opportunity to play with your dad over the last few years. How is that playing with your dad on the same team?
It's all right. I mean, it's mostly like his league and his peers, like it's their league. So I feel like I'm just like participating in it. So there's never really like moment of like father son like getting it done or anything. It's kind of just everybody doing their own
If you
thing.
do a
But
good job, your dad doesn't come up to you and just be like,
oh
"Yeah."
no, we don't
No.
get that in this. No,
So when
there.
they it was kind of funny because the part where he said where Griffey got in front of senior and stole the fly ball, the dad was like,
That
I
was so funny. That was so
yeah,
funny.
I took his car keys and I told him you're grounded or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when they went back to back, you could just tell the dad looked so proud. Like, I just can't imagine what that feeling is. And I know our dads are they're brothers, so our dads are similar in that respect. Like if I ever do a good job at something, you never get that kind of like, oh, good job, son. It's almost like, that's what you should have done, bitch.
Yeah, it's always what you should have done. Yeah. No, I know that story.
But
But
we're immigrant. We're kids. We're children of immigrants. So
we're
it's different.
we're first generation, so our experiences are a little different. Griffey grew up
Sounds
as the son of a major league baseball player. Not saying that he had it great or better, because I don't think that's the case
no, yeah, yeah.
in any sense. But I also want to say that yeah, they're like the greatest father son duo. But what if Vlad Jr. puts together a Hall of Fame career? Now they're the first father and son duo in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Would that be better than what Griffey and his dad kind of did together?
It's possible if Vlad. Well, you had Cecil and Prince, but I don't think Cecil was a beast, but I don't think he was Ken Griffey Sr. I might be talking out of my ass, but Vlad has the potential. He has the potential to be a beast in this game
Hmm.
if he could stay healthy. I think that's a possibility. I think probably that's going to be the next father son duo to like really break it open. Probably
Will we ever see a father and son duo, not only on the same team but in the same league, same time,
crazy.
same year? I don't think we're ever going to see that again. The way that I feel like it's tough for like a major league baseball
Yeah,
player today to be as good as these guys were back then, which means they're getting paid a whole lot of money, which means that their kids are growing up under this umbrella of security. For there to be like a phenom like Ronald Acuna coming out of a family like that, not that it can't happen, but I don't know, like
too many things have to go right. I think you have to have like the longevity of someone like Julio Franco. Like you have to play until your late 40s,
oh yeah,
and you probably have to break into the game early because again the whole service time thing. You spend time in the minors. Like for LeBron to play with his son, I think his son is in high school now. Potentially his son could hit the NBA court in 2 or 3 years, and that's
yeah.
that's feasible. Whereas in the MLB, in 2 or 3 years, the son would be drafted by a team. Then he'd go through the ranks. 2 or 3 years later, he'd be called up, and then by then they may not even be on the same team. I don't know. I think yeah, I think it's insane, and I think what helped that happen was that they said Griffey. They didn't expect him to make it to the majors that quickly. They invited him to spring training, and he made the team. He impressed so much that he made the team.
I feel like I feel like with LeBron, LeBron's like he's not human. So it's like I could picture him just signing 1 year deals until his son gets drafted,
Yeah,
and then obviously that team is gonna maybe not. Actually, it's kind of hard because from what I've been hearing is that LeBron's son isn't like a highly touted prospect yet. So he might not go high in the draft. So the
yeah.
team might be random, but I could just picture him being, hey, like I'll sign on your team for like 2 years. Just draft my son. Let us get some father son moments together. I in basketball I actually would am expecting this to happen
Yeah, I
like in
think
the
it will
next
too.
4 years.
It sounds
Yeah,
like this is like what people are willing to happen. Like this is what people want
yeah.
to see. And LeBron has such a is still having because the season isn't over. An incredible season this year at however old he is that it doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime. I could see him play another 5 years easily.
Yep.
All right, the next thing is the incredible Yankees revelation, which broke my heart as a Yankees fan. I hid all my Yankee hats. If you can see back here, there's no Yankee hats. I'm not wearing a Yankee hat. There's the bobbleheads and shit here, but that was a coincidence. I didn't really do that on purpose. But no, I left it at my dad's house, my Yankee hat. Shit. I just realized that. Um, but Griffey revealed that while Ken Griffey Sr. played for the Yankees, he would go and spend time with his dad in the Yankee dugout. And one day, George Steinbrenner sent someone down to tell Griffey Sr. that he and his son can't be playing on the field to get off the field or whatever. And Griffey looks over at third base and he sees Greg Nettles and his son grounding, fielding grounders over at third base, and nobody's telling them anything. So that made him despise the Yankees. He felt like there was some bias there. Why are they treating me like this and not him? And so he kind of vowed to never ever play for the Yankees. And if anything, he raked anytime he came to Yankee Stadium. Even fucking sending us home in '95 after we had a 2-0 lead in that series. Um, I thought that was a crazy revelation, man.
Yeah, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but apparently Griffey Senior was just like a utility player. I don't know how impactful he was on the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm looking at Nettles' career.
He was a beast.
He was a beast. So could it be that there was something
Still kind of
to
fucked
that?
up.
It is messed up. I would never. That was the issue that they had a couple of years ago. Chris Sale was still on the White Sox. It wasn't Chris Sale though. Who was it? It was someone on the White Sox wanted to bring their kid into the clubhouse, and they were not allowed. So
Oh, I
that's
remember
when
this. I can't remember who it was, but I
was
remember
it
the story.
was it Chris Sale?
It wasn't Chris Sale. Fuck, who
But
was it?
him and Chris Sale were close. I know that. Was it
I can't
Kernoko?
remember.
Kernoko?
Paul Konerko.
Was
Was
it?
it Paul
Or
Konerko?
was
He's
he
one of those
retired
veteran
already? It
people.
was a while ago. I don't know,
Was it
but
Todd Frazier?
no, I don't remember that
I know.
being Todd
I
Frazier.
remember the story. Wow, this is. Subscribe to this podcast, guys, for more of this. Just hit
We
that.
reminisce here. We reminisce. So
Hit that button.
Konerko played till 2014. So I think it was
It might have been
Konerko.
Konerko. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a
Well,
beast.
if it wasn't Paul Konerko, then sorry, man.
By the way, Ken Griffey
You're the example in this story. So I'm sorry.
Ken Griffey Sr. played 5 seasons with the Yankees, parts of 5 seasons, 4.5 seasons, and then it looks like he was traded to the Braves, maybe. With the Yankees, he hit 285 with a 755 OPS, which is kind of on average for him. He didn't do anything flashy in those years. I can't see any of my glasses. His best season was 1983. He hit 306 with a 792 OPS, and he was a starter. So fuck you, George Steinbrenner. RIP, by the way. Love you, man.
I'll let you get the last word there with the Yankees, man.
Okay.
You know how I feel about that organization, man. I think those guys cover up a lot of their flaws with bells and whistles because they got the money to do so. But if you really peel back the layers, you find shit like this. Thank God for this Ken Griffey Jr. documentary that
Yeah.
you know, seriously.
It's something. So this was a pod or an episode that I plan on doing at some point. I've been planning it for a while, but half-assedly. It's called anti-Yankee, and that's a phrase that Dominicans use, anti-Yankee. Basically, there's a crop of people out there. I don't know if that's proper, but anyway, that hate the Yankees, primarily Dominicans, and it's because they claim that the Yankees are racist. Although we could go back and point out all the Hispanic players on the team. But this claim by Ken Griffey Jr. kind of lends some fucking, some backing to that. I'm not gonna say that George Steinbrenner is racist. There's evidence that he's been kind and treated people nicely of both races, of all races or whatever. But this doesn't look good, man. It's fucked up. It doesn't matter whether you're the best player on the team or the shittiest player on the team. You're a part of the team. Let these people play on the field. Griffey, I got your back. I don't care if it's my Yankees. I got your back no matter what, dog. Come on the podcast.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here, two things real quick though. I'm not gonna just. I'm not. It looks racist because Griffey Senior and Junior are black, and Nettles and his son are white. So it looks racist. But the quote was, Steinbrenner doesn't want anyone in the dugout. Like, he doesn't want anyone in the dugout. And then he looked over down the third baseline, and Nettles and his son are taking grounders. I don't know if there's like a difference between having your son in the field and participating in activities. It's almost like your son was in the stands and you asked him to hop over and come through, versus your son being in the dugout. Like, could there be like a line somewhere where you're not even allowed to go into the clubhouse? The dugout is almost like the door to the clubhouse kind of thing. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I feel like the field is more sacrosanct than the clubhouse or the dugout. Like there have been stories like Don LaGreca. Here we go. Our daily Michael K show mentioned here. Don LaGreca mentioned how one time he was covering a Yankee game. He had to fill in for somebody, and there was somebody he went to high school with playing in the outfield, and he ran out to the outfield to go say hi to that guy. I can't remember who it was. And the guy in the outfield said, "What the fuck are you doing here? You're gonna get in trouble." And Don LaGreca was like, he ran back, and somebody told him, "You're not supposed to go in the field." But they let media in the clubhouse. They unleashed them. Like, you can literally be in the clubhouse during players changing and all this shit, but you can't be on the field. So I don't know.
Well, to me, the field is more accessible than the dugout. Like, if I'm in the dugout with the team, I feel a lot more privileged than getting to get on the field.
You look very comfortable right now, man.
I am. I'm about to take a nap.
Oh, okay. The show's boring. He's saying.
No. It's just so comfortable. Like,
the
sound of your voice, man. Just
yeah. Thank you.
music to my ears.
Yep. The last thing is Griffey's injuries, man. Had he not been injured, I'm still, to this day, I'll stand by this. And I tried to get some evidence because it's impossible to get evidence. So I just finagled with some numbers here. But had he not been so injury prone, I really believe that Griffey would have today would have been acknowledged as the greatest player of all time. And I'm going to tell you why, Luis.
Okay, here we go.
He played 22 seasons, 22 major league seasons. 5 of those seasons, he played under 100 games. 9 of those seasons, he played under 125 games, which is still very low. 125 games is a low number for a player of his caliber. So what I did is that I averaged the 13 seasons in which he played 125 or more games. There were only 13 of 22 seasons in which he did that. When I average his numbers in runs, hits, doubles, home runs, and RBI, he averaged 96 runs per season, 161 hits per season, 30 doubles per season, 36 home runs per season, and 107 RBIs per season. Then I multiplied that by 22, and this is what I got. If he averaged those numbers over 22 seasons, so some years he would have hit 50 home runs, some years he would have hit 20. You know what I'm saying? It averages out. We know math here, right, people?
Yep.
Anyway, so had he averaged those numbers over 22 seasons, this is what his numbers would have looked like. He would have had 2,110 runs. That would have placed him 7th all time in baseball history. He would have had 3,540 hits, 3,540 hits. That would have placed him 5th all time. He would have had 668 doubles. That's 5th all time. 785 home runs. That's 1st all time. And 2,359 RBIs. That would have put him 1st all time. I think that makes him the greatest player of all time, personally. And he was a career. He hit around like in the 290s, I think, 280s for his career. Mm-hmm. He was a beast, a monster outfielder. He just did everything extremely well. What do you think?
I think that's very believable.
I think it's doable for him for sure.
What was his average home run?
So
during that time span that you were multiplying over,
in the 13 seasons in which he played between over 125 games or more, he averaged 36 home runs.
Okay. Yep. I would have to agree with you, man.
I think it's doable. I've said in the past that I think he would have hit 800 home runs, and I still stand by that because he was on a tear in 1994, for example, the strike shortened season in 111 games. He wasn't injured. He had 40 home runs. He could have hit 60 that year. That's not out of the realm of possibility. Then he gets injured in 95. In 97, he hits 49 in 140 games. Then he goes on a streak of 50 or more home runs for 2 seasons. He hits 48, 40. Wait, he hits 48. Then he gets traded to Cincy, and that's when the numbers start to go down all of a sudden. But had he kept going on that stretch of high 40 home runs or 50 home runs, I mean, who knows what this guy would have been with Seattle.
You know, I'm looking at Hank Aaron's career, and I don't know why this guy isn't the clear-cut greatest of all time. I mean,
I think it's because he's I'm not taking anything away from Hank, but he was kind of a compiler if you think about it. He played 23 years, and he barely missed time. So it was almost like he almost had to put up these kinds of numbers.
Yeah, but you know how we always say like the eye test in Baseball Reference is all the bold?
Yeah. He has a lot of bolds.
He has a lot of bolds, man. And again, like 23 careers. And this is why I think this whole steroid argument is bullshit. Clearly the guy was on something. putting up 40 home runs in his age 39 season.
100 or more games in every year but one.
Yeah, but I mean, in 120 games, this guy hit 40 home runs at his age 39 season. Was Hank Aaron like? What was he like? Was he had to be on something? I'm sorry. Like, if you're telling me that baseball players today can't get anywhere close to these numbers, I mean, 120 games, 40 home runs, 39 years old. I don't know, man. That's fishy. That's fishy to me. Yeah. I don't think he was a compiler, by the way, man. I think he was.
Looking at this now, no, I changed my mind. That's what I always thought. But now look at this.
The guy, 25 All-Star appearances. Like,
Jesus. One MVP. We're gonna have to look into that a little closer.
We might just have to break down his whole career, but I think that's a pretty good assumption of what Griffey could have been without injuries, especially since I think he might have been a better baseball player overall.
At some point in life, we're gonna break down Hank Aaron's career because There's somewhere in here he got robbed of an MVP or two. Also, I want to point out he played primarily in the 50s and the 60s.
Right? Yeah.
Greenies, maybe amphetamines.
I was gonna say like the Civil War, civil rights,
Civil War.
the civil rights act movement
Hmm.
probably played into him not getting the recognition of being the best
I like that.
baseball player.
All right, we're gonna break that down further at some point in life. But
Yes.
that's it. That's all we got for the Ken Griffey documentary. If you have time, check it out. It's on MLB Network. I don't know when it's gonna air again. You might find it on demand. I'm not sure. But that's it for me. CT, you got anything else?
No, I do not, Manny.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too.
Have a good night.
You too, man.
All right.
And I'm Manny at MannyGo3 on Twitter and Instagram. That's Luis at Hovamojo on Twitter. Follow the show at WT The Show on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, all that jazz. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace.
Peace out.